Good morning to you guys. This is Mr. Ismail here. And first, I would like to say Happy New Year to you guys. And also, I want to welcome you to this new academic section, which is second term. Hope you guys enjoy your holiday. Okay, for this section, what we'll be doing for today online class is revision of last term examination question. And as you can see, this is the question. I have the question with me, which is this. In this section, we have question 1 to 7, and which is section B, and in the other section, section C, I have question 8 to 12. Okay, so we are starting with this section, and for today online class I'll be solving two of this question, which is question 2 and question 4. Okay, all right. So question 2 says that simplify 3/4 root 128 minus root 32 minus 1/3 root 50. Of course, this question is from the topic sword. Okay, all right. So in order to simplify this, what we'll have to do is to first, you have to break down this sword into their simpler form, such that one part of the number is a rational number. That means a number that you can find the square root, while the other you just leave it. It might not be a rational number. Okay, so we have the question: simplify 3/4 root 128 minus root 32 minus 1/3 root 50. Okay, so I told you break this down. So we have equals to 3/4 root, and if you are when we break this number to 128 down, what we have is 64 times 2. Since 64 times 2 is 128, and this 64 is a perfect square. Okay, so we do the same for this. We break it down, and all we have is 16 times 2. 16 times 2 is 32, and this 16 is also a perfect square, minus 1/3. 50, we have 25 times 2. Of course, 25 is also a perfect square. So we have 3/4. When we find the square root of 64, what we have is 8. Or let me do it like this: times root 64 times root 2. I separated this 2 roots, minus root 16 times root 2 minus 1/3 times root 25 times root 2. Okay, so I simply break down the root. I have 3/4 times square root of 64, which is 8, times root 2 minus square root of 64, square root of 16 rather, which is 4, times root 2 minus 1/3 times square root of 25, which is 5, times root 2. When we multiply this together, what we have is or here I can simplify. Here I say 4, here 1, 4, here I have 2. So 3 times 2, I have 6 root 2 minus 4 root 2 minus 1 over 3. 5, 1 times 5 is 5, so I have 5 over 3 root 2. Okay, when I subtract this from this, I have 2 root 2 minus 5 over 3 root 2. So since these two surd have the same base, which is root 2, then it's possible to perform the operation of addition and subtraction. So we can subtract here. And when we want to subtract this kind of numbers, what we do is to subtract the coefficients. So we subtract uh, 5 over 3 from 2. And when we do that, what we have is 1 over 3 root 2, which is the answer to that question. And this is question 2. Question 2A. Okay? Question 2B. Now, question 2B. The question says that evaluate 0.09 times 1.21 divided by 3.3 times 0.00025, leaving your answer in short form. This question is very cheap. All you need to do is to multiply the numerator together and also multiply the denominator together, divide the numerator by the denominator, and whatever answer we have, we simply convert it to standard form. Okay, so we have 0.09 times 1.21 divided by 3.3 times 0.00025. Okay, so when we multiply 0.09 times 1.21, what we have is 0.1089 divided by, when we multiply the denominator, 3.3 times 0.00025, what we have is 0.000825. So what we need to do here is just to simply divide the numerator by this number, which is the number in the denominator. So when we divide 0.1089 by 0.000825, what we have is 132. That's what we have as the answer. But that's not the final answer, because the question states that leave your answer in short form. So we have to leave this number in short form. And since this number is not a decimal number, we assume that the decimal point is at the back of the last digit of this number. So if we move the decimal from here, 1, 2. We can move the decimal from here, 1, 2. So we leave this number as 1 equals to 1.32, since we've moved the decimal to this point. And since we move 2 times, we move 1, 2, we say times 10 raised to power 2. Of course, when you are moving in this direction, it's positive, but when you are moving in the other direction, it's negative. Since you are moving in this direction, it's positive. So the index is plus, but we don't really need to put the addition sign. But if we are it to be a negative sign, then we have to put the negative sign there. Okay, so the next, I'll be moving to question 4. We'll be solving question 4. And question 4a, the question says that simplify 3 root 48 minus root 75 plus 2 root 12. Of course, again, this question is also from SOD. Okay, So just like the first question we solved in 2a, we solve this in similar manner. So we have simplified 4a. We have simplified 3 root 48 minus root 75 plus 2 root 12. Okay? So also what we need to do is to break down this number into two forms, just like we did in the first one. So we have equals to 3 root 48. You have to find two numbers such that one is a perfect square, and that's 16 times 3, since 16 is a perfect square. And here we have root 75. We break it down, we have 25 times 3 plus 2 root 12. When we break it down, we have 4 times 3. Okay, that's what we have. So just like we did for the first one, 3 times root 16, we separate them, times root 3, minus root 25 times root 3, plus 2 times root 4 times root 3. Okay, so we have 3 times root 16 is 4 times root 3 minus square root of 25 is 5 times root 3 plus 2 times square root of 4 is 2 times root 3. So we have 3 times 4, we have 12 times root 3, 12 root 3 minus 5 root 3 plus 2 times 2, 4 times root 3, we have 4 root 3. Okay, also since the bases are the same, root 3, root 3, root 3, so we can solve this. So we say 12 minus 5 plus 4, and that will give us 11. So the answer is 11 root 3. Of course, what we simply do is to subtract 5 from the coefficient here. 5 minus 12 plus 4, and that will give us 11. So you write the root 3. Okay, and B, for 4b, question 4b, the question says that solve by factorization x square plus 7x plus 10 equals 0. Solve by factorization. Of course, this question is a quadratic equation, is a question under the topic quadratic equation. And of course, there are different methods for solving quadratic equation. First, we have the factorization method, we have the completing the square method, we have the use of general quadratic formula, and we can also solve it using a graph. Okay, but this question is saying using factorization, solve by factorization. So we have to apply the factorization method of solving this question. So we have x squared plus 7x plus 10 equals 0. Okay, so what we simply do when we want to factorize this kind of question is to multiply the first term and the last term and the third term together. When you multiply this and this together, what we have is plus. Since the sign here is plus, so we have plus 10x squared. So we have to find two factors of this number such that when you multiply those two numbers together, we have plus 10x squared, and when you add them together, we have 7x squared. Okay, and those two factors, of course, is 5x and 2x. These numbers are positive number, plus 5x and plus 2x. When you multiply 5x plus 2x, it will give us 10x squared. And when you add them together, 5x plus 2x, you have 7x. So these numbers 5x and 2x satisfy this equation. So we have x squared plus, in place of 7x here, we put 5x plus 2x. 5x plus 2x plus 10 equals 0. Okay? So what we simply do is to group this number. X squared plus 5x plus 2x plus 10 equals 0. Okay? So we factorize this. What's common here? X is common, so we take it outside. X in x squared, we have x plus x in 5x, we have 5. So what's also common here? We have plus 2. 2 in 2x, we have x, plus 2 in 10, we have 5. It's important to know that whenever you are solving a quadratic equation, whatever you have here in the bracket here must be the same as what you have here. If not, you need to check what you're doing again. Okay? So since these are the same, we can cancel out one of these. So we write x plus 2 and x plus 5 equals 0. Okay? So it's either x plus 2 equals 0 or x plus 5 equals 0. So take this plus 2 to the other side. We have x equals minus 2 or x equals minus 5. So the value of x, hence the value of x is minus 2 or minus 5. And that's the answer to that question. Okay?